All right, I'm Joe Andrews again, and joined by my colleague, Tali. We're going to talk about auto QA, and by definition, we mean quality assurance and quality monitoring. Just a show of hands, who here is doing auto QA today, or any QA, manual QA? Anyone? Okay. Manual? Yep. Manual. Who is actively looking at auto QA solutions? Okay, cool, there's a few. So what we want to do today is talk about the opportunity for auto QA, the use cases, what it means for the business, the impact, sort of cost considerations, trade-offs. And I'm going to do just a little bit of tee up around that, but we want to spend most of the time with Tali actually showing you the product, SupportLogic, Elevate, our own auto QA solution. So with that, I thought I'd start with the thinking around that a lot of companies are faced with challenges around agent retention. It's harder than ever today. You're all aware of supporting organizations where firefighting leads to stress, things like escalations, things like upset customers, just are part of support engineers and support agents every day. And so the opportunity to coach and to help enable your agents and your support teams is tremendous. But the reality today is that coaching takes a lot of time. It often gets left to spend less time than we want. And the majority of cases happen when it's not a good time. The feedback isn't absorbed. Reviews take a lot of time. When you're in a manual situation, you're only looking at a fraction of the data. We'll talk about that in a second. And then there's no real consistent coaching practice. So typically, quality assurance or quality monitoring organizations are set up teams to accomplish a couple things. One is around coaching, and another is around compliance, like ensuring that certain process steps are done with your customers. So just curious, like for the ones who are looking at auto QA solutions, are you most interested in the coaching side of things? Or is it more compliance or something else? Coaching, yep. So let's all focus on coaching. What about over there? There's interest or looking at auto QA? A little bit of both. Okay. So agent retention is harder. Coaching can have a tremendous impact on agent retention. But this is the reality, right? For those of you who are using manual QA solutions, typically, it's a sampling process. It's similar to surveying customers. You're picking 1% to 2% maybe of cases, and typically it's either random or it's manual selection, which is even worse because there's more bias introduced. And often it's delayed, it's after the fact. Maybe it's once a week, maybe it's at the end of a month. And it's subjective. So it basically barely scratches the surface of where organizations could be and should be in terms of their agent coaching practice. So this is what SupportLogic set out to solve with our auto QA solution. Using AI, we ingest 100% of all of the cases, all of the conversations, the interactions that happen with cases. It's close to real time. So it's timely, it's contextual, and it's consistent and objective because the machine learning is actually powering the scoring so that you can adjust the rubric, the algorithm, right, the factors that are important to coach on. But the bottom line is everyone is viewed through an equal lens. And this will help to transition your QA organization from laborious scoring to more of a value-add coaching organization. And that's where I think everyone wants to be. I'm seeing some head nods here. And these are the primary use cases that we're going to talk about. Manual and automated QA. There are uses for manual QA, but at a baseline, you want to start with automated. You want to ingest everything and use that as your starting point. We want to talk about coaching feedback loops and how do you build this into your business process, and ultimately about how do you do it more efficiently. That's the big challenge, because large organizations that have a QA process, let's say for 1,000 agents, you typically have 20, 25 QA people on a team that are doing that. And then how do you ultimately measure things like customer effort score? How do you ensure compliance, zero tolerance policies around behaviors that are not meeting the mark? So these are all the things that we're going to talk about in terms of the solution. Just really quickly, oh, sorry.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the use cases that if you go back a slide, it makes a ton of sense to do this on sentiment analysis of somebody talking and our agent around the zero tolerance policy, you can detect that. Is there any use cases around technical accuracy? So if you're an organization that has a very highly technical product, where there's a lot of nuances in certain areas, I think the QA also kind of detects that type of stuff. It's really harder in the sentiment analysis because it doesn't have the answers. So is that included, or is that kind of excluded in this kind of automated QA?
Do you want to address that?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think that oh my, sorry. Yes, there is some solutions around it as well. We have some configurations that you can address particular use cases. So if you need particular keywords, you will see when I will demo for those assignment queues, when we decide what cases we're going to QA, both for automation and the manual, you can restrict to particular keywords, for example, or particular text phrases that you more care about them. So you definitely have a control over it, and the good thing is that you will see the queues that you kind of querying, it's not a singular one. So you can create as many as you want. So you can create one is more technical, one is more coverage, like wide coverage, etc. You will see my demo, and then you can ask more technical questions if you have it.
It was very strong. The coaching feedback, is it about the communication and influence, or is it about, does it also cover technical aspects?
Yeah, so the question, similar, is the coaching feedback around the communication skills or the technical feedback? The answer is both, and we'll get into that. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's very similar. Like presumably you have the entire knowledge base indexed, and so like you should be able to say this is incorrect when you look at this thing, or at least maybe not. There's a high likelihood that this is not correct. Look at this documentation, see if you agree or disagree, right? Where it's a friction point between what the agent is saying versus what the documentation is saying. And maybe that means your documentation is out of date, but it's worth reviewing.
So, as we said, there is a matter of configuration. You can try what you need. You obviously probably need to make it updated based on your, timeline, but you do have tool inside the application to do some configuration around it and to make sure that it's flexible enough for you.
Yeah, these are great questions, and we're going to get into the product so you can actually see it. I just want to touch on a couple more points. We work across all major systems of record on the left, multilingual and multimodal. We're ingesting different data streams from different channels. And you can see, right, the general outputs, escalations, behaviors, brand, trust, safety, emotions, performance. Performance is where you get into the technical aspects. I mean, we will show more details of that. So just really quickly wrap up a couple slides, and then we'll get into the product. You can see comparing traditional, more manual QA against auto. Typically, tickets reviewed, low single-digit percentage versus auto QA 100. You can see what that means for the human resources, the team that's doing it, typically one analyst for 25 agents if you're doing manual, where it's one for 100. If you're doing auto, you move from coaching feedback that's sporadic to near real time, scalability, rigid and expensive, versus flexible, rigid because it's largely people resources. I'm not going to go into this in depth. We're happy to do an ROI analysis. We actually have a pretty in-depth calculator on this, but again, assuming for about 1,000 agents, you have an annual cost from right-sizing the QA team. So there is an opportunity to shrink the number of full-time QA analysts, and then you have improvements in operating expenses, OpEx, that come from lower handle time, fewer repeat calls, et cetera, improved quality. And so we can run through this calculation for your situation, if you're interested in that. So let's quickly get over to the demo, because I think showing is more powerful than talking about it.
I will try to hold it down. Can you hear me? Yeah? I'm usually a loud person, so I don't want to be too loud. Closer? Good? Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to show you some use cases that we do with our auto and manual QA. I'm going to demo from 3 persona kind of point of view. The first one is the regular support manager or support leader, that all what he needs to know or wants to know is in any second of his life, what is the quality of his support. So it's the questions that is always hanging there, but we not always have answer for it. So now with the tool, we can easily come from the core product, click on the Elevate, and launch the Elevate solution. Sorry. I don't have mouse here. And once we're coming to the Elevate, you immediately can focus on the scorecards and pick Auto QA. So Auto QA is where we do Auto QA on top of all the cases all the time. This is something that is unbelievable. It's a full coverage, no need any manual interaction. So theoretically, any case that comes in with any interactions within the case, I will go to the case level just to showcase you the coverage. We are doing the full QA based on the scorecard that you decide to score. So you have a flexibility of what behaviors we scan, what skills we want to score, and based on all this setup, we running on every single case and doing the automation. So you as a manager come to this tool and immediately can see that in the last 30 days, my QA score of my organization is whatever number it is. The good news is also that you have another information on the screen, such as trends. So if you have enough data and QA is running, you can see over time, you can do it weekly or monthly, and you can see several trends running and see how the QA is evolving. You can also create different groups by the interest. I have 3 examples here that I can drill down into them and actually perform the analysis of this QA, auto QA in this example, on those particular groups. Groups can be groups of agents, it can be areas, it can be whatever you want to structure into the group. Lower on the screen, just to get you familiar with the flow of the screen, you have those skills and behaviors. As I said, every scorecard will have a variation of those. So in the skills, you will have, for example, here I have the opening, the efficiency, the empathy, etc. And the behaviors will take us one level down. When you can see, for example, for the opening, we will have metrics like greetings and assistance and introduction. So if the agent will not do one of them, we will grade him the way that it defined, for example, negative. Below, you can see exactly the same breakdown for those behaviors, just on the group level. So let's just drill down to show you how impactful it is. If you go down to the team, this is the group that I picked, you will see the exact same statistics on the team. Again, the same trends, the breakdown of the agents within the team, and the metrics of the skills and behaviors. And I can go all the way down to the individual agent. So again, as a manager, if I want to start from the top and just get an overall understanding what's going on in my organization, I can do it from the top. I can drill down to the group. I can go to the individual agent. On the individual agent, obviously you can see all the statistics, but you can also drill down into individual case if you identify some trend that is kind of, for example, negative. Let's say I picked up now Kritika, one of the agents here in the system, and I can see that on the greetings, she has all the time red score. Something is not going well there. I can write from here to say, what is the negative? And it will bring me to this screen where it will filter for me the agent, the 30 days of experience, and the behavior I was on, and show me the exact cases where the behavior was caught. So if I open one of the cases, again, I'm going through the route that kind of investigation when I want to build up and kind of bring some value when I have a conversation with the agent. It will land me right into the case and will show me all my scorecard on the right side. So as we said, the scorecard is flexible. This is what we decide for the auto assignment, and this is what you see. On the opening, you see there are 3 criteria, and one of them is negative on the introduction. If I will look at the behavior here, I can see, hello, person name is our reduction, so we redact data. We have a service of reduction if we want. Thank you for reaching out to me, and etc. So we already see that the agent did not introduce himself or herself. This is something that we point out as a negative, and this is what the system thought. And this is why the score is negative for the introduction. The other parameters here are positive, and some of them are not scored. So I can, as an auditor, if I'm the auditor, start my manual QA, ride on top of this automation, and edit it further in order to complete fully the QA on the case. I will show it in a second. And eventually, once the full QA is complete, the email sent to the agent to notify him that the manual QA was complete on his case. The agent will get an email and will need to acknowledge the email. We can define the time frame of the acknowledgement. It doesn't need to be right away. We can decide like in the next 3 or 5 days. And once he acknowledged the QA that's done on his case, he can review, obviously, the results and raise something that we call dispute. Dispute is if there is anything in the score that he was given is not as he was expecting and he disagrees, he can raise a dispute and explain what is the items that he is disagree with, and it will go back to the editor, and I will show you the flow of the disputes. Just to point out that this case has all kind of variation of the data. For example, we have also voice file on the case. So the QA done not just on the comments, but also on the chats that link to the comment, to the case, as well as the voice. On the voice, you can see it's highlighted in different colors. Those are the signals. Those are the elements that we are listening to and tagging as a QA, and those are also converted into the scorecard. Plus, you can see I just went through the case and I saw some foreign language on the case here, so I was curious. I checked on the translation. This case is already translated, and the QA is done on the translated version. We can see the original version if we flip it to the original. So the text was given as an original. We did the translation, and we applied the auto QA on the translation. So just to show you the powerful that we're not just taking the comments as they are. If needed translation, we translate them. If there is a voice file or chat file, we will break it down and work on it as well. So now just to show you as an auditor, what else can I do? As you already saw, the auto QA is like time saver, right? Everything is done for you. You just see the stuff and you can drill down to the points that interest for you. But there is also always a question, if I want to manual QA stuff and I have auditors that doing manual QA, what should I do? Like what cases I need to focus on? This is what we have on our assignment board. So theoretically, we can create an assignment, which is the list of cases for auditor, assign it for the auditor, and let him to work on the cases in the assignment. Now, in the create assignments area, this is when we decide what is the assignment list going to be. It can be a single list, like I literally cherry pick the cases, or I define the filter for the cases, and I send it as an assignment, auditor do the assignment, and the list is over. I also can create a list that is reoccurring, and this list will kind of have a filter, like a query behind it, and will fill itself with the cases based on the filtrations that we provide, and theoretically let the auditor revisit this list over and over, and the cases will be there. So just get some examples. Somebody asked me here, how do we control what we QA? So here you have all the flexibility to do some filtration. Filtration can be based, for example, on the signals. We can find out only the cases that has individual signals or individual LTE, for example, predictions. We can filter out cases that have a customer effort score, high or low. Another example. We have different keywords. Somebody asked me, what about technical terms, right? So we can put here some technical terms, and then we will target those cases that have those technical terms into this assignment queue, assign it to the appropriate auditor, and he will take care of those cases for the manual QA. Obviously, you have trivial stuff like how many tickets going to be in the queue, or what is the due date of the queue. Those are the default, like basic defaults. So all those assignment lines, assignment queues will be in this list, and you can see those assignments. You can see how many cases assigned to each one of them. And if you can start playing it as an auditor, you come to the page which will tell you, now you have 5 cases in this assignment line that you need to manual QA. And you just go through the manual QA, you start your QA, you pick up the responder, and you just going with your scorecard. And obviously every selection can have a comment, etc., etc. One more thing to mention on the assignment. Since most of the organizations have more than one editor, and a lot of time editor have more experience or editor is new, they're not always aligned with how they do the QA. So we want to make them trained and aligned and kind of consistent across the board. So we have a tool that we call calibrations. This is something that we can create. It's very similar to assignment when we create a queue with several cases in, and we assign it to several auditors. It doesn't really do QAs at agency, but the report goes to the manager. So I can see each individual editor, how he performed the manual QA. I get the report, and then we can review it as a group and kind of align us and bring our knowledge base to the similar baseline. So dispute, as we said, once the manual QA done, the case is sent to the agent get the case. He might be happy or not, he will acknowledge. And then he might to raise the dispute. The disputes will be visible for me here as an auditor. I will see my disputes, and then I can go in and see what was the dispute about. For example, let's see. Sorry about this. So this is the dispute I got. I can see, I can see what was the dispute, who raised the dispute, what was the comment about it, and then I can resolve the dispute. Again, when I resolve the dispute, it will open the editing mode, and I can say, yep, you're right, I missed, and correct the score, or you can say, you are not right, and then explain again how. And the way, once you resolve the dispute, it will be cleaned from your page, and agent will get a notification about it. Scorecards, just to touch it very briefly, as I said, we can create several scorecards. The manual one is the based one, which we want to have perfectly set up because we want a great auto QA. But you can create also a lot of manual variations here. The creation is through the button. So you can see here all the information. It will have the skill. It will have a behavior. You can design which one you tag. You can decide the weighting of them. You have a flexibility. And obviously the grade itself, if it's negative, positive, or any other combination. And one more thing to say, we love to welcome everybody, all the users into the platform. So it's not only designed for the managers. It's designed also for agents. If agents will come here, they will see the disputes that they raised. They also can visit the tickets of interest. This is the kind of a dashboard. We have different widgets with different stuff. Joe mentioned previously, for example, ZTP tickets. If we have tickets that are, or cases that have some not polite language, I don't want to be rude, or cases that we have some confident information shared, both like from the customer or from the agent, we want to be very cherry picking on those and make sure that we're not losing them. So those will appear on this gadget. We also have a feature in both Elevate side and the core product when we can open the case, even if it's not closed, like through the life cycle of the case, and flag it to the manual QA, because we see some potential there and we want to not forget about this. This will also appear in one of those gadgets, and you will see all manually tagged cases here, so you don't need to kind of figure out how I find the case or whatever. I think I covered most of the stuff. There is more functionality here, like in the feedback area, so you can record the video through Loom, explaining some information about the case, about the dispute, about whatever you see in the application, and you can share it with your team. Very good for training, for coaching, as well as getting feedback. So more is here.
Just summarize the use cases you showed and then open QA.
Yes, I can get back to the open QA, which is the just summarization of all. If I go back to the dashboard, I started with the auto QA just to focus us and then explained a little bit about the manual. But theoretically, on the dashboard, you can see both of them. So the summarization of both give you a perspective both on the general score as well as the customer effort score. So just to make sure that we're not just doing QA on the cases in order to score our agents, we're also analyzing all the account, all the customer kind of data and giving a CSAT. I don't want to call it CSAT because it's not a survey. It's just something we're doing automatically across all the cases. So you can hear the power of it, right? We don't need to send a survey anyway. We don't need to wait and beg the customer to reply the survey. We just do it automatically based on the data. And believe me, it's good quality without any additional effort. So you see it right away here on the dashboard. It covers all the kind of functionality over and manual automation side by side, split here on the dashboard. You can see them side by side. I think I covered, touched.